We will go over select functions and select and form functions in this video. The, all queries that you are going to make, they're going to have select and from, because this is what is telling, this is the command that you're sending into SQL, like, or through SQL to retrieve data, right? So when we use SQL to manage and manipulate databases and retrieve data from there. So because in most times we don't need all the data that's available or that has been collected. We just probably need a certain part of that data for our analysis. Okay. So how do you retrieve that data from such a large database? So that's where the SQL language and the select and from functions play such an important role. So from Rexon Metals, if you haven't gone through the database, so Rexon Metals, this has information about the customer table. This is what you know about the customer table. It has the customer ID and a name and some address information. The customer order information, that has the order ID. Those are the orders that were placed, and then more specific information about that order. And the product information, this is the product ID, what is the product, description of the product, and then price. If you want to look at the data, that's the data. Okay, so say we want to retrieve customer ID from this Rexon Metal. Okay, so over here, if I go my SQL editor, so these are the tabs that are open. You can see this is the customer order, product. Okay. If you want, you can close them. You can keep them open, whichever you want. It doesn't matter. So let's go back to SQL editor. Over here, you can see which database is active. So now I want to pull up customer information from Rexon Metals, but it looks like the weather station is the active database that's connected. So let's switch over to Rexon Metals, and now that's our. If you do not have a drop-down menu like that, because I did not notice it in my Windows version, so just you can use the disconnect and connect options. Okay, let's go to Rexon Metals, and to retrieve a certain column from this customer table, so put in your command. Whether you capitalize it or not, it does not matter. But it is good practice to capitalize the commands so that when you're debugging, you can find which ones are, like, it's easier to debug when you write it in a certain way with the commands in caps lock or capitalized. Okay, so select, again, we want customer name. So select name, and then where do you want it from? You have to specify the table. I want it from the table customer. Okay. Right. Once you're done writing the code, hit play, or this blue little button over here, and this is where your results will display. So there you go. Those are your customer names. This is a very small data set with only the very small, well, it's a small data set, but each of the tables also have very little information. So there's only 5 customers. So these are the 5 customers that they have in the database. If you want to pull up multiple columns, then again, it's the same. So after select name, say we want to get name and customer ID information. The fields have to be exact. So if you can't remember, you can always open the structure page of each of those tables, and then you can see the exact names for there. So customer ID, name, region, state, zip. right? So say we want customer ID, we want name, and say we want state, right? All coming from the customer table. So let's go ahead and hit play, and there you go. So we have customer ID, name, and then their state. Okay. All right. So select defines which columns you want to retrieve, and then from defines which table you want to retrieve it from. If you want to make a command a comment so that it doesn't run, you can precede it with this sign. So slash star and then end it the same way. Okay. So now if you run it, it's not going to run this because it has made it, it is now a comment on it. Okay. If we want to get all the columns from a certain table, you can use a wildcard, which is an asterisk sign, but that's a select star from, say we want it from product table. There you go. Now you have all the product information.